How's it going, everyone? We'll continue with Zat Hashem in Likutei Moharan on the fourth lesson. It's a continuation of the ninth chapter, kind of halfway through the ninth one. So it starts with again with one of the Agaditas of Rabba Bar Bar Chana. It's an Agadita from the Gemara. It basically says Rabba Bar Bar Chana was going. He says we were going once on a boat on the ocean, and we suddenly saw this huge fish. It had some sort of like ocean creature or something stuck inside of one of its nostrils, and it got stuck in its nostril, and I guess it died. And then the ocean washed it onto shore, and when it washed onto shore, it destroyed 60 cities, and 60 cities ate from its food. They went and took all the meat off of it, and it supplied food for 60 cities. So 60 of the close cities, there were 60 cities that were nearby, took the actual meat off of it, fresh, and just took it home. And then 60 cities salted it. They salted it so that it could stay, because they lived far away. So they came from afar, so they salted it. Another 60 cities. And they filled 300 barrels of oil from one of its eyes. And when we came back after 12 months, a year later we came back, we saw that they were, a year later, I guess after it dried out or whatever, they were cutting the bones of the fish. It's a crazy story, but they're cutting up the bones of the fish to build the 60 cities. All the cities that were destroyed, they ended up rebuilding them from the bones of the fish. So that's the Agadata. And it's all secrets, and it's basically Reb Nachman is going to now show how this Agadata of Rabbi Bar Chana is all the whole Torah we gave over of how to fix and elevate and lift the Malchut up, Malchut Kedusha, elevate all those sparks of those letters, those sparks of souls, and fix the kingdom, is all hinted from within this crazy story. Zeh Perush is the parish of Sfina. So the boat means chashivut. It means importance. So it's talking about the malchut, like we said in the first lesson, that the chen and the chashivut is called safun v'chashuv. Something important is called sfina. So Rabbi Bar Bar Chana was basically thinking in his mind, like, what does Am Yisrael need to do in order to fix the malchut, to fix the kingdom that fell, to bring back the original name of the smart king and the foolish people, so that the head really, the Yud Kei Vav is like running the body. The Chazina and Hai Kavra. So he said the fish, we know Am Yisrael are compared to the fish, right? It says in Bereshit Memchet V'idgu larov bekerev haaretz. It's a blessing that Yaakov Avinu gave his sons. Yatvele ach latina b'nechirav. זה בחינת תפילתן של ישראל, כמו שכתוב, תהילתי יחתום לך. שינתרב שרץ היינו טומאה בתפילתו. So what does it mean that they saw the fish had like some sort of sheretz, something in its nostril? That's talking about the nostril corresponds to this prayer that we spoke about in the second lesson, which is Tehilati Echtom Lach, that it's a type of prayer that comes up. We said over there that the type of prayer that stops all of the judgment, the midah of judgment, midat adin in the world, to basically blocks the charon af, the anger of the judgment, because when God created the world, so He created a physical body, right, with a soul inside of it, and that soul was put inside of the physical body, and that letter Hey needed to always be connected and not forget the relationship between the godliness from within your mind, and it's like this relationship, it's the oneness of Hashem. But when people get separated and people forget about that, so that it creates dinim, judgment, because the Torah, the letters, it's all the creation, it's all oneness, right? It all needs to be one. So once there's a separation, and a person starts giving an existence to the physical body and to the physical world, and he separates it from the godliness from within it, so it creates judgment. It simply creates judgment because the whole point of the combination of the physical and spiritual on a personal level in the body and on the world scale, right, is just so that we do this process of tehillah, that humans, these souls that have human garments, right, on top of them, physical garments, they go and they do take all these physical things from this world and they elevate them and bring them up. And it creates this beautiful melody in the heavens, that Hashem created the world for that reason. So when it doesn't happen, and there isn't that melody being played, then you start hearing the screaming. And the screaming is all the judgment and bad things that happen. That's all the screaming. But it's only happening because you're not hearing the melody with it. Hearing the melody is when it reconnects and you suddenly realize that it's not just the physical world. There's a whole spiritual system going on that we don't see with our eyes. But anybody who does research, even in the physical, if you research, like people have showed me stuff that like with cells and all kinds of different things that you just get blown away, like how crazy it is when they've invented all kinds of microscopes and stuff to look at things, even the physical stuff. When you look with the stuff that the eye can't see, you realize like, wow, there's a lot going on. So same the same way you look at something physical and your eye can't see anything, and then you look with a good microscope and you suddenly see like a whole different world going on in there. So it's the same thing in the whole creation. Every physical thing, especially the human body, which is included with everything, that it has from within it this whole spiritual world going on that we don't see with our eyes, and we believe in it. And now Rabbeinu is giving the process of how to actually reconnect and start reconnecting, getting that light back, so we can actually start seeing. Because once a person elevates his malchut and starts bringing back all these things that he lost, all these sparks, all the letters of Torah that fell, and the Torah that was forgotten from him when he was born, right? So when he starts collecting all that and bringing it back and starting to see that oneness in the whole Torah and making the Torah and Hashem and all like part of him as one being, by not giving the body any more existence, that's when a person will start hearing the melody again and start seeing that oneness and seeing mamash, the spirituality. Like a person has the ability to speak, say something and it'll happen, whatever it is. Like that's how powerful, the speech is of someone who's shalem, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Like, so the Torah is teaching us these miracles that he did, right? It's the only reason he did it is because he didn't have a body. So like you said yesterday, he didn't have a physical existence. So his godliness from within his physical body was one with the godliness in his mind. So it was just all the miracles he was doing, Hashem was doing. Like Bnei Yisrael tried to lift up the Mishkan, right? Nobody could lift it up, and then so Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe told Hashem, he said, everybody couldn't lift it. I'm one person, you want me to lift it? Hashem said, you just go like this, like act like you're picking it up, I'll take care of it. So that's basically what it is. When the tzaddik realizes his body plays no role, so it's the Hashem is running everything. Hashem is doing all the miracles. So that's why tzaddikim could say stuff and do things, and it happens. They give you a bracha and it happens, like real tzaddikim. Why? Because it's not them giving you a bracha, it's Hashem. You're just with your eyes, you see this physical guy standing in front of you, but they're really not there. They're like completely connected to Hashem 24/7, like back forth. Like we said, connect, get a huge beam, come back, connect, and that's what they're doing their whole life till they pass away, and then they take off completely. Take off, go home. Go home maybe is a better word. So that's what it means, that there was a sheretz inside, that a person, right, was trying, he says, a Yid, the Isha Israeli, was trying to do his Avodat Hashem and trying to daven, and suddenly he felt like a little bit of tuma, impurity that came into his mind, was bothering him while he was trying to do his service. Me'asa, so what did he do, this person? Asa shalosh bchinot anal. So he did 3 of the things that we mentioned in the last class, the 3 different things a person needs to do in order to fix his malchut, which is the seeing of the face of the tzaddik, recognizing that power that you have from within you, coming to an understanding of knowledge, of da'at, understanding that you have from within you, not just believing. Believing is one thing, but you need to really understand it. And you can understand it, especially today with technology. Like I said, that example with the microscope and seeing the things, like the fact that the brain that we have, like the amount that they've researched the brain is so small, and the little bit that they do know about it, and how powerful, like we see some people, what a power, like, leaders of the generation, the amount of like Torah they knew by heart, like, and that's nothing compared to, if a person was like Moshe Rabbeinu or Shimon Bar Yochai, like, it's beyond just the brain what it can get, that potential. And that's just like spiritual, right? He's holding thousands and thousands of books by heart. He knows inside of this tiny little box here, and that's just using a tiny percentage of the brain. So like the power of the, so a person needs to mamish understand that koyach, and that all comes from the godliness, mamish, the strength of Yud Kei Vav that's from within his mind. So it's seeing that and realizing that mamish, that power that he has from within his head could, in a second, it could subdue everything in his body and like completely control his physical body. Physical body is just a body. It doesn't have much. It doesn't play a role in comparison to the mind. So that aspect, right, and then the vidui dvarim, right, bringing the vidui, the confession of all the things a person fell in, and combining it with nikudot tovot. So this is basically the process that he's going through now. And that's what Rabbi Bar Chana said, that the fish died and it got blown, right, thrown, waves threw it onto shore. והזכיר שלוש בחינות מעלה לטאטה. And he's changing the order now of how of the three things. ומתה זה בחינת וידוי דברים. So the fish died, right? That is talking about the vidui dvarim, all the things that died. כמו שאמרו, כל המומתים מתוודין, like Chazal teach us, anybody who dies, right, has to do vidui, has to do a confession before they pass away and go home. They need to do a confession. That's a halacha, right? So the fish dying, fish we said corresponds to Am Yisrael, right? The fish dying is before a person dies, he has to do vidui. So the fish dying corresponds to the vidui that you need to do. Idchu maya, the water threw the fish out onto the shore. So we know water corresponds to tzedakah, which is justifying yourself. We said the whole union of tzedakah, like it says, shlach lach mechal pnei hamayim, uchtiv ashrechem zoreh al kol mayim. Right, praiseworthy are you, people who go and plant. You plant on all waters, which means a person he leans onto the tzedakah, even if he has like a tiny little bit. What are you going to plant with this? You have a huge field, right, and you have like 5 seeds. What are you going to get out of it? But when it comes to ruchniut, to spirituality, a person realizes that that's the covenant that Hashem made. That He looks at the shiraim, the little bit. So even though I have just a few little things that I did good, I could still bring a whole stack of bad things, a whole list of bad things in my vidui, and I could bring that little bit of good, and Hashem will wipe it all out, because the world was created for that. So that's the aspect of the tzedakah. Shadyu leguda, and the water. So the water pushed him out. That's the aspect of the tzedakah, because the water is tzedakah. And then shadyu leguda, threw the fish onto the guda, I think is the, hold on, threw it onto shore, right? Threw the fish onto shore. So the guda is called the tzaddik. The tzaddik himself is called guda lashon gader, because the guda is a fence. Shu goder piltzoten shel Yisrael. So the tzaddik is the one who basically keeps up the borders and keeps us safe. Right? When a person is leaning onto that tzaddik, right, he's always justifying himself. There's the tzedakah of justifying yourself, and the Indian of the tzaddik is where a person is matzdik. He finds the nekuda from within him, right? He finds he looks at the godliness that he has from within him, right? And that little bit of godliness that there is, the little nekudot tovot, right? And that he realizes that's his essence. So that's the tzaddik. So seeing the tzaddik himself, and then there's the justifying. When you bring the good and the bad, you have to then justify. So that's the tzedakah. The tzaddik is the actual, your essence. Like, what's my essence? Is this my essence, the physical body, or is it the godliness that Hashem put in me? And so too in any physical thing in the entire world, right? What's the real source of life over here? What's giving this thing existence? Is it the thing I see with my eyes, or is it the spiritual, the spirituality from within it? וזה שדיו לגודה שהקריב את עצמו לצדיק. So shadyu leguda, that it threw the fish, we said is the souls, right? Israel, Am Yisrael are called the fish, and the water which is the tzedakah pushed the fish out onto the shore, which means brought us to the tzaddik, right? Brought us to understanding your inner essence. Ikriv et atzmo, you brought your essence to the tzaddik, meaning to justifying it, not justifying, but to realizing that you're the tzaddik, because it's something that we're not used to it, simply because we're all these years walking around feeling like this is who I am, the body, this is who I am. You're telling me now that that's not who I am. I need to really come to an understanding that if I want to draw down this Ruach HaKodesh and redevelop this relationship that has been forgotten for so many years, I need to mamish first come to an understanding and realize who I am in my essence, right? That I'm the son of the king. I'm not the body. And once a person realizes that, right? So that's this aspect where Rabbi Bar Chana is realizing that a person wants to get close to Hashem. He's trying to pray and bring his vidui dvarim, right? And he has, on one hand, he has all the things he fell in. He has the physical body that is conquering him. On the other hand, he has the spiritual, right? What's he supposed to do? So the fish gets, the wave pushes it onto the shore. So the wave is its tzedakah by always, when he does this process, justifying himself. And the reason why he's justifying himself is because he's close to the tzaddik. He's just, he knows that he comes to an understanding of that tzaddik, of what's my true inner essence. And because of that, I can justify it. Because the whole world was created for that, that godliness that Hashem put in me and everything in the entire creation. It's part of Hashem. That's the whole purpose of creation. That's the source of life of creation. So it's not what I see with my eyes. So I bring myself close to that essence, that truth. And through these three aspects, through that, you can wipe out 60, right? It'll wipe out the 60 cities of the other side. That through this aspect of death, which means the vidui dvarim, bringing all these things that he fell in into words, bringing it up in a vidui, he elevates the malchut, all the sparks of holiness, he elevates them from the other side. And the tzaddik taught him and guided him now in the right way, because we said that all those sparks of holiness that get elevated, they are basically a part of you, right? Because just the meaning of the tzaddik, you need to understand that. The tzaddik is the person before he's born, right? He's a tzaddik. They make him swear that you'll be a tzaddik and not a rasha. And then he comes into the world, he forgets the entire Torah, things get spread out. Now he has to, throughout his life, go through this physical world and collect and bring back all the things he lost. And then he gets to his teenage years, and throughout his life he's falling, doing some more sins, instead of just grabbing what he already lost, he adds on top of that even more, right? So his whole job is to, all those sparks of holiness, right? All those, it's all part of him. It originally used to be included inside of him. Because Am Yisrael and the Torah and Hashem, it's all one, right? That godliness from within you. So it was one, it got now separated. So all those sparks of holiness now that are spread out, that you need to now bring back, they're a part of you. So they're tzaddikim, and you becoming a tzaddik depends on them, because we said when you take them and you do this process and then you draw down the light, right? Then that's the sechel, that's the shleimut of your mind. So that's how you slowly climb and come out of your bad and subdue the physical more and more and more, and come to that true, tzaddik. And it's connecting to the tzaddik from within your mind, right? Hashem is a tzaddik, like we say in Tehillim, Hashem, right? Tzaddik Hashem b'chol derachav, Hashem is tzaddik in all of his ways. Hashem's called tzaddik also, right? So that's your yud kei vav, that's from within your moichin. So it's really all one. That's why it's very easy to get confused with this tzaddik, because sometimes Rabbeinu says tzaddik, but he's talking about the spark. Sometimes he says tzaddik, he's talking about it. Sometimes he says tzaddik, he's talking about the mind, the yud kei vav, the yud kei vav in the mind, chochma bina dat. So you have to know where he's talking in order to kind of figure out. That's why I said it's like a puzzle, or the way he sets up the Torahs, it's a little bit difficult. So the tzaddik is the one that guides you in the right path, which means every time a person does this process and draws down the light, that light gives him the strength and the sechel, more understanding, more memory, right? His mind, things get clearer and clearer in his path in life. כמו שכתוב בהפטרת בראשית, אחריב הרים וגבעות, רמז על חורבן ממשלת העקום. Like it says in Ishaya, the Haftarah we say in Bereshit, creation of the world, it says, אחריב הרים וגבעות, I'll destroy mountains and small mountains and big ones. Remez, that's hinting on the wiping out of the kingdom of the other side. והולכתי עברים בדרך לא ידעו, and I will guide blind people in pathways that they didn't know. So that's what it means. So Hashem is saying, and the prophet over there, Hashem is saying that when a person does this process of elevating the malchut, and he gets that ha'ara, that sechel, right, it comes down, and he gets that light, so it wipes out the bad every time a little bit, right? It subdues the bad, and it guides him in the pathway. It guides the blind in the pathway. That's what the prophet said. So that's what it's talking about. זה בחינת הצדיק, שהצדיק הורה לו דרך ישר. וזה בחינת פרשת דרכים כנזכר לעיל. ושיטין מחוזה, רמז על עליית המלכות. The 60 מחוזה that it destroyed, it went and wiped out 60 cities. It's hinting on the Malchut, the kingdom of Kedusha. Dichtiv ba, in Shir Hashirim it says, Shishim hema melachot. That the Malchut corresponds to 60. There's the 60, also the 60 letters of the bracha of the Kohanim. Right, that bracha that the Kohanim would bless Am Yisrael, it has 60 letters over there. So over here he's bringing this aspect of Malchut is 60. V'achlu min hashitin mechoza, and 60 cities went and ate from the fish. Remez al shnei midot ra'ot shel chai medaber. So this is hinting on the two midot, the two characteristics, which is chai and medaber, the speak, the animal, and the human. Shayado ba'aniyut, that through those two things, if they're not fixed, we said that poverty comes because of that. Poverty of the mind, right? If a person doesn't have, chai is like, lusts and taivas and stuff, and if the speech is blemished, then he can't fix his malchut. And through tzedakah, through that aspect of justifying himself and getting himself out of the judgment, he draws down that light, which is the opposite of the poverty, right? He draws down shefa. That's what it means, that they ate from the fish, right? They ate, 60 cities ate, which means the malchut got nourished. There was the malchut is the letter hey, and it goes up through that yichud, it gets a huge light and comes back down with that light, and that light beams inside the physical body and subdues the bad. ושיטין מחוז הרמז על בחינת 60 גיבורים שמשם באה פרנסה כמו שאמרו גבורות גשמים. So the 60 cities is also hinting on the aspect of the 60 Giborim that it says by Shlomo HaMelech when it says Shishim Giborim Saviv La. There were 60 warriors that used to go stand around Shlomo HaMelech's bed and protect him at night. And the Gibor, it's hinting about the Parnasa, about the food, right? The nourishment. Because Parnasa is the aspect of Gevura, right? The Gevura, judgment. So it means that Shlomo HaMelech corresponds to the Malchut, right? He had the Malchut, the Kedusha was complete in his time. The kingdom, the holy kingdom, right? And he had this, the Pasuk says that he had 60 warriors around him. So the warriors correspond to the Parnasa, and it means that the Malchut received Parnasa. Malchut received Parnasa, because Gevura, Giborim, Gevura is Parnasa. We see it in the bracha, in that we ask for rain, and the silent prayer, second blessing, we ask for rain, right? And we ask it dafka in the blessing of Gevura, which is, the judgment. The first one is Chesed, the second one is Gevura. And then it says that 60 cities that came from far, they salted the fish and then took it. So this is hinting on the two midot, the other two characteristics, which are the earth and the vegetation, which we said come out of that, sadness and stuff like that, where a person is down. צדיק הוא ברית מלך עולם, גם עצבות ותאוות באים מדמים עכורים. So the tzaddik we know is a brit melach olam. The brit melach olam, which means the same way the salt, if you put salt on like meat, so it sucks out all the blood and all the bad stuff that needs to come out, gets sucked out by the salt, right? So the tzaddik is this aspect when a person justifies himself, right? He mamish takes out, because we said that the sparks of holiness, the letters that fell now, the malchut that fell, they're subdued by the other side. So we need to basically take off their grasp of the other side so we could redeem the sparks and we can get that sechel. It's a part of us. We need to take them back. So the same way salt does that process physically, the tzaddik is called the brit melach. He's called the covenant of salt. Because the tzaddik, this aspect of when a person brings the vidui, brings these sins, right? And he brings it with the nikudot tovot and justifies himself, which is the aspect of tzaddik, right? He justifies himself. That's how he redeems all of the sparks. So the tzaddik is this aspect that he's like this salt, that he can redeem all of the sparks of holiness. Also, atzvut, sadness, and other lusts, they come from toxinated bloods from within the body. When a person's blood isn't clean, it has toxins in it. That's where the lusts and taivas come from. So a lot of the foods themselves that have all kinds of bad stuff inside of them, food coloring and different stuff, they themselves, like those things that they put in the food, are to make you have more of a lust for food. That's like they do it on purpose. They don't tell you that, but because that's what makes the damim achurim. And through salt, we know you can take out bad blood, right? From, let's say, if you have blood in a meat, so you have to salt it to take all the blood out. So that's what it means that they came, right? 60 cities. 60, we said, corresponds to the Malchut. The ones that came from far, and they were bringing, they went and salted the fish and brought it back. So they were basically taking the fish. The reason why they salted it is because it was teaching that the Malchut was redeeming, the sparks of holiness were being redeemed, right, through this aspect of tzedakah, because tzedakah means it's nourishment, food, right? When a person has money, so he has substance. So through this aspect of tzedakah, they managed to redeem the Malchut, redeem the sparks of holiness. And the 60 cities, right, because there were 60 cities that were nearby and 60 cities that were far. So the other 60 cities that were further away, they correspond to the 60 letters in the bracha of the Kohanim, that blessing that the Kohanim bless Am Yisrael. Shem biyad tzaddik, that these 60 blessings, these 60 letters, which is all the blessings of the Kohanim, they're in the hands of the tzaddik. Right? So it all depends on the tzaddik. So it depends. In order to redeem those sparks of holiness, I have to justify. When I bring the judgment, I have to find the nekudot avot and justify myself. And in order for me to get all my blessings, right, the true blessings that a person, to be that city, where it's the smart king and the foolish people. And the smart king, we don't understand what that means, but like take the biggest rabbi in the past generation or two, and try imagine how great their mind was, how big they were. It's nothing in comparison to when a person has that Ruach HaKodesh, when he reconnects and he starts fixing his malchut and fixing and drawing down, his mind just goes crazy, right? It's like Moshe Rabbeinu, Reb Nachman, like big tzaddikim who managed to just subdue the body became nothing. So the mind is like mamish elokut. It's like godliness. Zat Hashem, we should get there soon and start tasting it. But so that's all the blessings, right? That's the brachas that come down. And the Chazal, it says in Mishlei, brachot lerosh tzaddik, that the brachas all dwell on the head of a tzaddik. So that's the aspect. That's your whole sechel, like Rabbeinu said in the first Torah. Your entire sechel depends on this, on all these sparks of souls that are from within the fallen malchut, the fallen kingdom. Alright, this one's long. I just gotta run to work, so I guess we'll do a short one this time. We'll talk next time. Take care, guys.